All right, let's end with some overreaction or proper reaction, Will. Overreaction or proper reaction? Arch Manning should start versus Mississippi State no matter what.
I mean, what's your health situation?
Exactly. I actually think it's a proper reaction. I would want to be really conservative with Ewers because of how that injury happened. It was like kind of a non-contact injury.
Scariest words in sports, right?
Right? It was just a weird play that I'm like, that could happen against anyone. I mean, it did. It happened against UTSA. Like it's the level of competition doesn't really matter with that. And I want that guy to be right. And if I'm Sark, I'm not worried about, oh my gosh, if I don't start in this game, he's going to lose the Heisman. By the way, the stat that I always like to
it's already gone.
Say it again.
I said it's already gone if you miss games.
Yeah, the only player to win the Heisman Trophy after missing a Power 5 game in the last 40 years was Charlie Ward. Missed one Power 5 game. So I didn't like the Ewers Heisman conversation coming into the year just because of the durability questions, whatever. Let Arch play against Mississippi State. Let him play against Mississippi State. You're at home. Buddy, anybody can score against Mississippi State.
I mean, are you prepared for a quarterback controversy, though? Because if he goes out there against Mississippi State.
Doesn't matter. Don't care. You don't have a quarterback controversy. You have a guy that was the Heisman Trophy favorite before he got hurt, because that's what Ewers was, and he got you to number 1 in the country, a spot that was very well deserved after what he did against Michigan, and somebody that took you to a college football playoff last year, won a Big 12 championship. You don't have to worry about a quarterback controversy. Everything that's been handled like internally from Texas, even with the Mannings, what they came out and said, they're like, no, like this is Ewers' job. Like this isn't like a battle or a situation. There's a reason that he went to Texas, that he followed this plan. It's more so just for people that can't find any other nuanced way to talk about Arch Manning. So like, oh, I guess Arch has to start now. It's like, what are you, high? Like, what are you talking about? Are we just pretending that Quinn Ewers was like Jalen Hurts, like his sophomore year when he was struggling in the Brian Dable offense and he had one read to Calvin Ridley and literally couldn't do anything else. And that's why they got destroyed by Auburn. And they actually didn't have a very good offense that year. Like, this is not that. This is not that in any way, shape, or form. Ewers will be the guy when he is healthy. But would I still start Arch in this game and be conservative with Ewers, knowing what Texas is trying to do in a potential 16, 17 game season? Yes, I would. I would have no issue with it whatsoever.
Yeah. And that's me playing the character of the sports talk guy. You're like, oh, QB controversy, like, right? But I think it's also the answer is run the ball. To answer the question there, right?
Because Jaden Blue looks good. I like Jaden Blue so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Mississippi State's going to give up those yards no matter how you choose to take them. So just no reason if you're Sark to have 5-6 touchdowns against Mississippi State with Arch Manning, and then that's what you could do to mitigate that.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, overreaction or proper reaction? Tre Harris deserves to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation. I'm just saying, Will.
The non-QB Heisman, man, for sure.
Maybe a slight overreaction because they haven't really played anybody of significance just yet, okay, unless you are a Demon Deacon enthusiast through and through.
Playing the dragons and the cyclopses.
Let's just say
Paladins.
Let's just say Georgia Southern did not have someone that could cover Tre Harris, much to my surprise. 225 yards in that game. Well, he's got 628 receiving yards in the season. He's got like 280 receiving yards more than the next closest SEC receiver, which is Andrew Armstrong, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's been insanely good. I mean, and I know the degree of difficulty with some of these catches. You could just point to scheme and you point to the fact that he's got Jackson Dart throwing him these looks, but I'm going to continue to bang the drum that Tre Harris is phenomenal. And he is, as long as he is healthy, one of the best players in college football. Like, look at the catch radius and understand that there's a reason why he's getting this type of separation. It's not entirely scheme, but just keep an eye on it, because by the time that they actually play in a meaningful game, he's going to already be like past the 1,000-yard mark. He's been that good to start off the year. He's been incredible.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, the schedule sets up beautifully for them, right? And that's kind of what happens sometimes when you're a good team. That's what people never talk about. It's like, oh, Alabama or Georgia never schedule anybody. It's like, because everybody's worse than them. There's only like 5 to 10 teams
canceling matchups. Will Wake Forest be like, no, we're not gonna play it next year.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing people don't understand. It's like, bro, like, okay, yes, what are they gonna play a top 10 team every week? Because that's if they play a top 20 team, it's like, why are you playing? I don't know, Duke, you crushing them, Louisville, yeah, because that's what that looks like. So anyway, I think That's the point being. They're going to be favored in, every game probably until Georgia, concluding at
Will they?
LSU.
Yeah, will they be favored at LSU?
Come on,
That
Mark.
could. I no, like in all seriousness, like I think some of the injury questions will answer that and maybe could shape that line. Maybe a slight favorite at LSU, but
They're number 5 right now, and they're not going to lose until that game. So that's the
yeah,
thing. We could have upsets around them. I think they probably will be, considering that LSU will find a way to make South Alabama a game.
yeah,
So no, that's not them speaking on the outcome of that game. I'm just saying, like they'll probably it's the Georgia game. It's kind of a pass fail for them. They do kind of like go on the road a little bit here, but yeah, I'm interested by it. I think this offense is going to be awesome no matter what. When you look at cumulative stats, you look at their play designs. I think they're in a really special place.
yeah, and obviously Tre Harris being in the Heisman Trophy conversation would probably need Jackson Dart to let's. I don't want to say miss a game. That would definitely open the door for him, but Mac Jones didn't win it in 2020 because Devontae Smith was just so insane, so unbelievably insane, and the Jalen Waddle injury kind of added to the notion that this guy is just playing at such an absurd level. And I don't think that all of a sudden, if Juice Wells, who has looked great in the first part of the season, and looks
Their
actually
number
healthy,
2 receiver.
yeah, Juice Wells being a number 2 receiver on this team is pretty crazy.
Oh
Jordan
no!
Hawkins.
Oh, if he sits down, they gotta have Juice Wells out there. What are they gonna do?
Yeah, with all due respect to Juice Wells, I think losing Jalen Waddle midseason for Alabama would be a little bit different if all of a sudden Juice Wells went down. But
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I think Juice Wells rules. Like it's just like Ole Miss is a wagon. Yeah,
very much. All right,
the coach looks super happy to me. How about you, Connor?
wait, say that again.
The coach looks super happy to me. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Wait, different discussion for a different time. Will. Overreaction or proper reaction? Connor Wigman has lost his job to Marcel Reed. You know where I'm going with this. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. Wigman was in street clothes in this, like coming out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was dressed. So I don't think you can definitively say he lost his job to Marcel Reed. And the thing that's kind of driving me nuts is like we're judging Connor Wigman based on facing Marcus Freeman and Al Golden with 8 months to prepare to throw exotic blitzes at him. And the Notre Dame defense, yes, they lost to Northern Illinois. The Notre Dame defense is still really good. It might be the best secondary in all of college football with Xavier Watts. And we're judging Connor Wigman off of that. And we're like, oh, well, Marcel Reed, look what he did against Florida and look what he did against Bowling Green. And by the way, the efficiency against Bowling Green went way down. I'm not hating on Marcel Reed because I think he's a fun player and maybe he is the quarterback of the future there. Maybe he does end up being the starter. But like this notion that, oh, Wigman played his way out of a starting job based on that start. And we've seen more than enough to suggest Reed is the guy. I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll be late on this take because of my Wigman love. And I know that there are a lot of people that are kind of out on him. I'm just like, what's it's not a fair sample size that we're judging these guys based on.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because he feels like he's been around for a minute, but then at the same time, so he's played in 11 games. I'm trying to find starts, but they're really listed in College Football Reference. So, yeah, it's weird.
End
right?
of his true freshman season and then start of his true sophomore season those were the 8 games, essentially, the 8-game sample size of his starts. And then obviously the first 2 games of this year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in terms of, man, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because he's a guy that we have a lot of video. I hate to say tape because that's just like nobody uses tape anymore, but it's like we have a little tape on him, but we really still don't know exactly what he is due to, the Jimbo era, rotating him, we think is a pretty smart offensive coordinator here in Colin Klein. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he's a talented guy. To your point, it's one of those like no reason to make a controversy out of it situations. I think let's just show the kids some patience at this point.
Agreed. All right, let's end with this one. Overreaction or proper reaction? Colorado's Hail Mary will lead to a bowl berth.
If they end up being good after all that, not good, but hitting the over, which I need to go check on what it started as. But man, that is just because it's almost like the writing was on the wall for them to be good last year, and then they imploded. It's like if the writing was on the wall for them to be terrible this year, and then they are a little bit better. Like if they get to 6 wins, it's like, I mean, man, we've seen some bad football played in the Big 12. So
my biggest takeaway from that game was like probably number 12 on the list of actual takeaways. But I was like, I think that's going to be a game that Dave Aranda is really going to want back if and when he gets fired this year. That was tough. Those are the types of games that you're on the wrong end of if you're a fired coach. That having that sequence play out the way that it did, where like you didn't defend the Hail Mary properly, and then they get a chance to correct it, and then they convert was just, oh my gosh. And yeah, I mean, brutal to have the fumble in the end zone. Travis Hunter forcing the fumble. Travis Hunter Heisman odds, eyeball emojis. Just saying.
Look, that's the thing. If you're kind of betting on Colorado, that bet's paying off so far because they're winning the games. Key's going to keep playing as long as they keep winning.
Yeah, I don't think all of a sudden I'm there yet with Colorado getting to 6 wins. I just think they still have too many issues, but that's the type of game you got to start winning. And they, to their credit, actually came back. Biggest comeback Dion has had, down 14 points. And able to come back and win that one. But
so look, next week they're at UCF. Don't bet on that game. All right. After that, we got Kansas State. We've seen that they already struggled, last weekend. So I'm gonna just read their schedule: at Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State. Kansas, Oklahoma State have already proven they're kind of beatable. Texas Tech, I don't expect great things out of them. Cincinnati has struggled. So yeah, I could actually see them winning 2 or 3 games. I think it's right there. I think they're fighting for that bowl berth.
Yeah, they could be. Right in that 5 win, 5-6 win, because over under forever was at 5.5 wins, I believe.
There you go. Okay.
Which I think
they're still sitting right there. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, that's a pod. That'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Week 4 in the books. It is officially Georgia-Bama week. We will have a lot on that on SaturdayDownSouth.com as well. Tons and tons of coverage. Not so sudden turn of events to see College Game Day heading there for next week. That'll be 4 SEC trips, first 5.
Is there a noon game in Columbia they could have been at instead?
No. Yeah, they're like, hey, I don't think there's any surprise, but yeah, we'll be there. I think Reese announced that on the show. That was most obvious thing in the world. No, they will not be at a noon Columbia game this week. If you haven't, leave us a 5-star review, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch every single episode of the Saturday Down South podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the SDS Pod, at Sat Down South, at CJ O'Gara, at Go So Hard. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.